The only fence against you, the world, is a thorough knowledge of it. Reading furnishes the mind only with materials of knowledge. It is thinking that makes what we read ours. No man's knowledge here can go beyond his experience. New opinions are always suspected and usually opposed, without any other reason but because they are not already common. Education begins the gentleman, but reading, good company and reflection must finish him. It is one thing to show a man that he is in error, and another to put him in possession of truth. The improvement of understanding is for two ends. First, our own increase of knowledge. Secondly, to enable us to deliver that knowledge to others. Logic is the anatomy of thought. The mind is furnished with ideas by experience alone. There cannot be greater rudeness than to interrupt another in the current of his discourse. Every man has a property in his own person. This nobody has any right to but himself. The actions of men are the best interpreters of their thoughts. We are like chameleons. We take our hue and the color of our moral character from those who are around us. The discipline of desire is the background of character. He that will have his son have respect for him, or his orders must himself have a great reverence for his son. What worries you, masters you? Our business here is not to know all things, but those which concern our conduct. He that uses his words loosely and unsteadily will either not be minded or not understood. Fashion, for the most part, is nothing but the ostentation of riches. To love truth for truth's sake is the principal part of human perfection in this world. All men are liable to that error, and most men are, in many points, by passion or interest under temptation to it. Men being, as has been said, by nature all free, equal, and independent. The end of law is not to abolish or restrain, but to preserve and enlarge freedom. Wherever law ends, tyranny begins. Government has no other end but the preservation of property. No one can be put out of this estate and subjected to the political power of another without his own consent. The reason why men enter into society is the preservation of their property. The legislative cannot transfer the power of making laws to any other hands. Being all equal and independent, no one ought to harm another in his life, health, liberty, or possessions. The people cannot delegate to government the power to do anything which would be unlawful for them to do themselves. Parents wonder why the streams are bitter when they themselves have poisoned the fountain. Reading is for the instruction of the understanding. Good education lays the foundation of a good life. Children are capable of being guided by reason and encouraged by praise. Learning must not be a punishment, but a reward. Virtue is harder to be got than knowledge of the world, and if lost in a young man, is seldom recovered. Education is not the filling of a vessel, but the kindling of a flame. The little and almost insensible impressions on our tender infancies have very important and lasting consequences. The minds of children are like a blank slate. Children should not be taught by compulsion, but by play. Truth scarce ever yet carried, it by vote. All men are equally entitled to liberty and reason. It is one thing to show a man he is in error, and another to guide him to truth. There is frequently more to be learned from the unexpected questions of a child than the discourses of men. To prejudge other men's notions before we have looked into them is not to show their darkness, but to put out our own eyes. No man's knowledge here can go beyond his experience. Truth and certainty are two different things. Ideas are the great instruments of knowledge. Reason must be our last judge and guide in everything. Truth lies in the simplicity of things. The foundation of all virtue and worth lies in the moral principles of truth and justice. No peace and security among mankind, let alone common friendship, can exist without justice. A sound mind and a sound body is a short but full description of a happy state in this world. Virtue is not innate but must be cultivated. He that loves his child wisely will discipline him. A wise man will not lay up treasure but enjoy every day as it passes. Honesty is the best protection. True charity is not giving but doing good. Justice is the bond of men in states. The liberty of man in society is to be under no legislative power but that established by consent. Power is not an instrument of abuse but of justice. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Those who seek absolute power, even if they start as democrats, end up as tyrants. No one can be forced to join a political society without his own consent. The state of nature has a law of nature to govern it, which obliges everyone. Force is not a remedy. The law of nature stands as an eternal rule to all men. The magistrate has no power to enforce beliefs. Governments are only trustees of the public good. The people are supreme, the rulers are their servants. Being all equal and independent, no one ought to harm another in his life, health, liberty, or possessions. Freedom of men under government is to have a standing rule to live by. Liberty is to be free from restraint and violence from others. Freedom cannot be provided by suppressing freedom. The freedom then of man and liberty of acting according to his own will is grounded on his having reason. To be free is not to be free from restraint, but to live by just laws. The right to property is a natural right. All mankind, being equal and independent, have a right to life, liberty, and property. Freedom is not doing what we like, but having the right to do what we ought. True freedom is the liberty to follow one's own reason. The mind is a blank slate upon which experience writes. What we call ideas are the immediate objects of perception, thought, or understanding. All ideas come from sensation or reflection. Men's words are naturally suited to express the thoughts of their minds. The mind is passive until experience activates it. It is ambition enough to be employed as an under-laborer in clearing ground for the use of other builders. All men are born with equal faculties of reason. It is not good to be too confident of one's own understanding. Clear and distinct ideas are the foundation of knowledge. The understanding is not a vessel to be filled, but a light to be kindled. Time is what we want most, but what we use worst. A man would do nothing if he waited until he could, do it so well that no one could find fault. The acts of today shape the future of tomorrow. Life is not measured by length, but by use. We are often more frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from imagination than reality. The future is in our hands, made by the choices of today. Use your time wisely. It is the stuff life is made of. Happiness is a perpetual possession of being well deceived. A long life may not be good enough, but a good life is long enough. The great art of learning is to undertake but little at a time.